You're a hostess cashier. You're working in a job that asks a lot of you, but gives you a lot in return. It can be a showcase for you and your skills, a satisfying chance to develop and use your social know-how, a job where you are in the driver's seat. But it requires a lot. You've got to really like meeting people. You've got to be naturally sociable, be able to smooth ruffled feathers, remembering at all times that you represent Big Boy. You're the first person customers meet when they enter your restaurant. In a real sense, you represent our business. And that means, of course, you'll need just the right appearance. Neat, businesslike, well-groomed and dressed, but not overdone. Simple and professional in appearance. But it goes beyond appearance, doesn't it? Maybe the key is in graciousness. A sincere smile, a pleasant concern for each customer, not fussy or loud or too talkative or overdone. It goes beyond good manners. It means a real concern for each customer's enjoyment. Be a model, one that others want to follow. Now that we've talked about you, let's take a look at the job. Your job. Greeting and seating guests. By greeting, we mean making our guests feel welcome, letting them know that we're glad they came to Big Boy. It begins with a smile and a pleasant greeting like, "Good morning." Then, "How many in your party?" Once you know this, you're ready to direct the customer to a table. If one's available, give accurate seating directions. The hostess should always remain at the door to greet customers as soon as they arrive. When seating guests, there are two things that should always be remembered. Never seat a guest at a dirty table. Distribute parties evenly among the waitress's stations. It's much easier for a waitress to give immediate service when customers are distributed evenly. After all, that's our major goal, service to the customer. What if there's a wait? This is when you'll need to call on your diplomacy. After all, being hungry and having to wait can make anyone impatient. A few tips. Don't forget those comic books. They're a great help occupying a youngster's time. Offer counter seating if it's available. I have immediate seating at the counter, or do you prefer to wait for a table? If the customer chooses to wait, add his name and the number in the party legibly to the waiting list. You and maybe others will need to be able to read it soon. If it's a large party and there may be smaller tables available, ask if they would be willing to split. If a customer asks, try to give as accurate an estimate of waiting time as you can. Guessing too low only increases the customer's impatience when there's no table available when he expects it. To guess too high might encourage the customer to leave. There are no black and white rules for estimating waiting time. However, certain things should be considered when giving an estimate. The size of your restaurant, the size of the party, whether or not the restaurant has just filled up, the average waiting time per party for your restaurant. When you're new, your manager or the experienced hostess can help you estimate waiting time. Always be courteous in asking customers to wait. Please be seated, and I'll call you as quickly as I can. Then, when a table is ready, "Mr. Jones, party of 3, please. Mr. Jones." Repeating the name makes it more likely that the customer will hear your first call. If necessary, repeat it. When the customer approaches, smile, giving seating directions. And don't forget to thank him for waiting. And stay up front, ready to greet the next customer. When not seating guests, there are other duties that you should occupy yourself with, such as keeping the front door glass clean, checking restrooms to see that they are clean and properly serviced, checking the waiting area to see that it is also kept clean. Remember, all these are important in building a good impression for the customer. And that's just the hostess aspect of your varied and changing job. Presto, you're a cashier. Now you're the last person the customer sees upon leaving the shop. Our last chance to make a good impression. And you can do it. In this part of your job, a pleasant, businesslike approach is the key. Here are a few tips. Treat the cash receipts as you would your own money. Always use the cash register button assigned to you and sign in and out on the register. It's your responsibility. Some procedures, such as the handling of over and under rings, vary from restaurant to restaurant, but there are some basic rules for all. Always make pen entries to show under and over rings. Keep your cash drawer and area neat. Checks together in the checkbox. Bills of the same denomination together and facing in the same direction. Like coins together. An orderly cash drawer will help you avoid errors. Try to check and change errors of addition or price on checks before you ring up the sale. If it's too busy, ring up the checks, but set them aside for auditing. Figure change mentally, starting up from the amount of the bill to the amount the customer gave you. For example, a customer gives you a $5 bill for a $3.75 check. You would give the customer 25 cents saying $4 and a $1 bill saying $5. Be sure to count it aloud to the customer as you give it to him. Keep all money on the till until you've given the customer his change. Close the register after each sale. Be confident. If you aren't sure of yourself, others won't be sure of you. And always be courteous. Thank you very much. Have a nice day or evening, depending on the time of day. After 10 p.m., it's more appropriate to say, "Please come in again." If the customer needs to cash a check, you can accept a traveler's check or a check for the amount of the meal. Check with a manager to see which checks need authorization. And don't dispute. Call the manager if you can't easily satisfy the customer. You can't be as pleasant and gracious as you need to be if you're tied up with any one customer. The manager is there to help you. Watch for anxious customers and be ready to direct them. Don't be so involved that you can't stop for this all-important activity, taking care of the customer. When you're not taking cash or assisting customers, keep your displays in order and your area clean. This is also a good time to stamp waitress books. When a customer has a complaint, be courteous. If it involves food quality, be sure to convey the complaint to the kitchen so that the food can be checked immediately. Towards the end of your shift, you should start getting your money in order to turn in. An orderly drawer will greatly simplify the checking out process. All in all, it's a big job, one that will help you grow a little bigger in poise, tact, and skill. One that asks a lot of you: diplomacy, tact, insight, a real liking for people, even if they're less than perfect, a real desire to help. You're the Big Boy Restaurant's Public Relations Department. Our first impressions, the model others in the shop will follow, the last look after a pleasant dining experience. We're counting on you.